how can you identify, or like, is it a feeling, or how personally you identify that you're actually doing the work the right way and not letting, like, sometimes the tricky mind make you believe that you're doing it right, but you're not?
Good question. Yeah, the mind's tricky. We know that. we we can all do lip service to the work. It's certainly easy to do. I sometimes say, maybe that's a little different, but sometimes I say I'm in the club of the work, but am I actually doing the work? That's a little different, but same idea. Like, what is doing the work, and how do you know if you're doing the work, as you say, the right way? Um, the work is four questions and it's turnarounds. And so if you're following the instructions of that, then basically you're doing the work. If you're going off on the sidetrack and getting into your story, getting lost in your story a bit about what happened and all why you feel the way you feel, uh, then the main question is, are you answering the question? So the question is it true? Can you absolutely know it's true? How do you react? What happens when you believe the thought? Who would you be without the thought? If I'm answering one of those questions, how do I react? Then it's going to look like this. I'm angry. I turn away. I see images of the past when I was in a similar situation. I'm afraid of the future. I see some images there. I treat the other person with a certain distance or who knows what. So these are reactions. Now compare that to, um, well, that's really interesting. In that situation, yeah, I was angry, so that's reaction, because I really felt strongly about that. That's not the work. Now I'm saying,
Mm.
I'm explaining why I'm feeling angry. That's analysis. Analysis is not the same as the work. So if I notice that myself getting into analysis, then not a big deal, nothing wrong with analysis, but it's a different thing than noticing the effect of the thought, which is, how do I react? I think he lied to me. I feel angry. So that's doing the work. I'm connecting the thought, he lied to me, with my reaction that comes out of that, of I'm angry. But I don't go into I'm angry because that will be like elaborating on it. The real because is coming from he lied to me. That's we just saw that. How do you react when you think he lied to you? You feel angry. But but if I start going off into that reminds me of something, and this is and the real reason for that anger is because of something else, and you can end up getting like you can lose the thread of what's actually happening. The power of the work lies in answering the question. And so that's one aspect of it. It can also happen in like question 4 or in the turnarounds where you're saying, who would you be without the thought he lied to me? And the mind goes, yeah, but he did lie to me. Okay, so now I've stopped doing the work. Now I'm going into defensiveness, or I'm kind of saying, but that's, it's like I'm holding on to the thought, the original thought. So I'm still in question 3. How do you react when you believe that he lied to me? I'm defensive. I'm showing this right here. But in question 4, it's a different question. Who would you be without the thought he lied to me? And so that is a mind bender. You'd be like, whoa, hold on. I have to think about that. Who would I be without the thought he lied to me? Wow. Okay, I hear those same words, and and I also remember my own thoughts about that. But if I didn't assume that was a lie, I would really be listening to him. I'd be saying, "Okay, tell me more. What was your experience there?" And I would be objective. I would not already have a conclusion. He lied to me, and then the mind will say, "Yeah, but I know he did lie to me." And so then now I've stepped out of answering that question, but it's not all bad because I want to be honest when I'm answering these questions as well. And maybe it's very high probability that he lied. Maybe 99.999% true that he lied. And I have some pretty good evidence of that. So then I might soften the question a little bit and say, who would you be without the thought, in terms of like, who would you be if you weren't holding on to that thought so tightly? And then, all right, okay, I would be a little easier. I would be a little more open-minded. I would be more aware of, I don't know all the answers. I'm certainly not sure that he lied 100%. And there's something, I'm breathing a little easier. I'm a little less excited about it. A little less ready to fight about it. So it's a dance between being honest with yourself and holding the question. And I don't want to just use the question to shut myself up. That's also not doing the work. I can say, oh no, just, it's not. Who would you be without the thought? Who would you be without the thought? Be without the thought. Maybe it's really hard for me to be without the thought. Then I have to be gentle with myself to see if I can find a way to be without the thought, or hold it less tightly, or just imagine a little bit what it would be like. This is all doing the work. This is answering the question. I'm trying to answer the question as honestly as I can, as truthfully as I can, but I'm not going away from answering the question. That's when I'm not doing the work. If I go away from answering the question and I just say, yeah, it's not true, it is true, he did lie to me, I can't answer that question, who would I be without the thought? I've just stopped doing the work. Doors are closed and I can go no further. So the work is about noticing that when it happens, not bad, and then just being patient and just, knocking on the door again, maybe asking in a different way, being gentle with myself. And then turnarounds are the same thing, just like the question 4. They're stretching me in a way that I'm not used to being stretched. If I notice that I'm being defensive, or I'm saying, oh, that's an interesting turnaround. Oh no, that's not true at all. Just like push away, directly push away. Then I'm not really doing the work. I'm not really considering if the opposite could be as true or truer. So it is a feeling, like you mentioned, it's a feeling of like, am I opening myself to these questions? Am I allowing them to come in a little bit? Am I willing to play with them a little bit? And it doesn't mean that the turnaround is going to be true. Maybe he did lie to me. Maybe it's just actually true. And so I'm not going to pretend that it's not true. I'm not going to try to go into denial about it, but I am going to try to open my mind to the possibility that maybe it's not true, and look at it as objectively as possible. That's all I'm trying to do in the work. And there's a certain openness that I bring when I'm doing my work that allows me to consider the very opposite of what I normally am thinking. And that's what the work is all about. So I guess the feeling is, where am I doing the work the right way? The right way just means, am I being honest with myself? And am I actually answering, actually answering the questions? If I'm answering the questions as best I can, with an open mind as best I can, and being as honest as I can, as best I can, then I'm doing the work. It's that simple. If I'm being defensive, if I'm not answering the question, if I'm not being honest with myself, I'm being fake, you can pretend to do the work. That's not the work either. If I'm not being honest, then that's not it. If I'm not answering the question, really, that's not it. If I'm getting distracted by a million other things, that's not quite it. If I'm rejecting the question, that's not quite it either. Rejecting the turnaround out of hand, it's not quite it. So it's really just one thing. Am I answering the questions, and am I being honest with myself while I'm doing that? And that's it. So you'll feel it. You'll feel when you're not quite answering the questions. doesn't matter what outcome comes. Maybe you're being honest as you can and you still don't find any truth in the turnaround. That's fine. I am doing the work. There's no reason that says when you do the work, all the turnarounds must feel true to you and you must find the truth in them. That's not true. That's not necessary. It's just explore, try it out, see. And if you bring some kind of openness like that, then you may find some very interesting things, or you may find nothing, and that's fine. But it's the way you approach the work that makes it, quote unquote, right or not right. If I'm approaching it with an open mind to try to find out what might be there or what might not be there, and I'm willing to see whatever I see, but I'm also honest about not trying to pretend there's more there than it really is there, then that's the sweet spot, and that's really doing the work. So anyway, that's an overall general answer to that question. I don't know if you had anything more specific about that, but those are my first thoughts.
Yeah, no, I think it's perfect. Like I kind of feel that part of like where sometimes you're answering the question and you get distracted or some other thoughts get in the way. So you kind of get lost to it. And then sometimes you come back, but sometimes you just get completely lost. So that's kind of like interesting in the way that you're saying, because that can happen while you're doing it.
Yeah.
So
And it's okay to get lost. It's like if you're meditating and then your mind is off thinking about something else, then that's part of the meditation. You just realize, oh right, I'm thinking other thoughts. Let me come back to the meditation. So it's the same thing with the work. The work is a meditation, and you're going to get distracted out. You're going to get defensive. You're going to find all kinds of things where you step out of the work for a few minutes. And then when you notice it, no problem. Okay, let's begin the work again. What was the question I was trying to answer? All right, who would I be without the thought? And then just try again. So it can be a very gentle process, but you just have to know what is the difference between when you're doing the work and when you're not doing the work. And as long as you're clear, then you can step in and out. And when I'm facilitating people, I will sometimes, somebody may need to step out of the work for a moment. It's like if you hold them too tight, they're going to explode almost sometimes. And they just run out of the work for a second. And then I'm thinking, oh yeah, we're out of the work now. But I'm just like talking about it with them for a few minutes and just chatting about something or laughing about something. And then I'm like, okay, I think they're ready. Let's go back to the work again. And then we'll try again. And so this in and out of the work is a natural part of doing the work. But as much as is possible, as much as is comfortable, then I'm going to hold somebody or hold myself in the actual questions, because that's the power of it. Everything else is just conversation, and it has its own value. But there's something special about the work when you're actually answering these questions that just, it just cuts through things so quickly. So yeah.
cool. Thank you.